Welcome to another episode of By the Railside Podcast. I'm your host, Zach, and with me we got co-host Jordan.
Call me white chocolate. 'Cause nobody likes me.
Uh-oh.
Except for Matt. And I'm not into pepperoni nipples.
Don't forget to follow us on all our socials. The usual spots.
Twitter,
we don't have
Twitter,
anything weird.
TikToks.
And then soon we'll be on, what's that? It's the new one coming out, Truth Social.
Oh, yeah.
Donald Trump.
Fansly.com.
Oh.
It's where it's the exact same podcast, but the camera just shows our feet.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, right? I mean, I'm never going to watch it. You're going to have to edit it because I can't. I don't even want to. That's why I wear socks 24/7. Including the shower.
Oh.
I am a never nude. Except instead of jean shorts, I just rock socks all the time. Sometimes I put on some thigh highs and make myself feel thecty.
Thecty?
Yeah, thecty and thigh.
Oh.
Don't judge Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson's the man. But Mike Tyson's not in this movie.
No.
This movie, we continue on with our Marvel watch through, and we're on Captain America: Civil War. This is the second movie that the Russo brothers directed, and they just keep getting better. Winter Soldier probably top tier out of most of them, but this one just takes it right from it.
Honestly, if we're going by like Marvel movies, not including Infinity War and Endgame, I'd say this is number one. So this would be my number 3 overall. Like this movie, the way they portray everything in it, I think is done phenomenally. The emotion that the actors show, even if it's just like a slight change, like in the beginning of the movie when Tony finishes his speech, when he sees that, like, oh, and now I'm going to introduce Pepper Potts, like you could see like his stomach drop.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. Like the whole portrayal of the characters in this movie, I thought was done very well. And to explain the movie a little bit better, we're going to switch over to Jordan. Thank you, Jordan.
Chocolate.
Yeah, white chocolate. I'm not going to refer to myself as white chocolate. I said people call me white chocolate. I'm not people. I'm white chocolate. And we got a classic Blazer 346 here. After another international incident involving the Avengers, world leaders and political powers moved to get the Avengers to be registered in lieu of previous missions that have caused collateral damage. This results in the Avengers having to decide whether to remain free or be registered. It also results in two factions, with one led by Captain America, who believes that heroes should remain free, and the other led by Iron Man, who surprisingly begins supporting government regulation and oversight. And all the while, Cap must try and protect his old friend Bucky from both Tony and the schemes of a new villain who emerges with a plan that could shock the world. And that man is Zemo. The fucking swaggiest motherfucker in the entire MCU.
Oh, absolutely.
Spoiler alert for What If. He's got more swagger than fucking Infinity Stone Ultron. And he was like pimped out to the nines.
Oh, yeah. The Infinity Stone Ultron. Now it was actually terrifying seeing that, but we can't jump into that one because that's going to detract us from this one. Now the intro of the villain, and also the different characters that are in this, the little, even the side villain of Crossbones, like Frank Grillo coming back as Rumlow, and he becomes the villain Crossbones, and It's fantastic seeing them bring in old characters again, and you even see him pop up in the What If, voicing his own character again. But in this movie, it's what it starts out as is a big fight scene. He's trying to get a biological weapon to destroy. I don't know, probably just or just sell it to the highest bidder.
Either that, or they were just going to use it to like hold the human race hostage, because like, yeah, we have this deadly virus that will kill like 80% of people, but you don't know where it is.
Yeah,
give me money. I wanted them to do more with his character. Like I thought even the short like 10-minute clip that they had in the movie was great, but I really would like to see how he got to where he is now, because like the last time we saw him, he had, like he says in the movie, a building dropped on him.
Hmm.
and then he just comes back in this movie. Like I would love for them to bring the character back in some way, whether it be like Agents of Shield or something like that. Just because I think the actor is phenomenal. Like he's always done a good job. I've never had anything negative to say that I can recall, and I think Crossbones as a character or as a villain would do very well in the MCU.
Yeah.
I just think it's a kind of a shame that he got caught and then he was just like, well, oh, sorry, I'm not gonna say that. I was about to say something really offensive.
Yeah.
I got caught, so I'm gonna unalive myself with a group of people around me.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's pretty on point for the villain. Like they definitely would just do that. Like I'm not going in alive. Hail Hydra, kill myself. Um, but I want more. You know, like
Hmm.
there's certain villains. I think that they should definitely go back to. And with the multiverse of madness, I think they can do that now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like they're obviously bringing. I'd say they're definitely going to bring other people into the MCU. With the new Spider-Man movie, I don't know how that's going to work, but we've seen Doc Ock and we heard the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, both of those characters died in their respective movies.
Yeah. They were. Yeah. Both died. Green Goblin died in the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and then Doc Ock also went down because his suit malfunctioned. And then the
Yeah,
key thing to look at in that trailer is that he got transported while his um, uh, arms were red, so showing that that's actually the one controlling the suit. It's not actually him, like the good guy. So he got ported just before.
okay.
And for those that haven't seen it, go see Venom and watch that post-credit scene because that one is also gonna be huge. I think he's gonna pop up in the next Spider-Man just because of that post-credit scene. But
I would hope so. I mean, and like he's got to get out, right? Like he needs to get away
yeah,
because he's on fucking everyone's shit list right now because he got spotted.
yeah. But yeah, this one, I even the beginning fight scene and all that, and then leading into um, Tony's little speech um, at MIT and showing how it was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to make the world a better place, both as a superhero, but then sponsoring all these projects and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, it was really good to show the different sides of the character and where his arc is heading towards, where he's going to be the more like the savior, no matter at what cost. And we'll see that once it comes down to Endgame. But yeah, the character itself, he just gets better. RDJ gets better as Iron Man every single time.
yeah. And this one I thought was really well done. I've had some issues that I didn't actually realize in some of the other movies. Um, the main one being that they do not go in depth with males' emotions as much as they do with women's. Um, an example of that is Black Widow got a whole movie devoted to like sorting out her backstory and her tragic past, whereas Tony had PTSD for like half a movie and it was shown as like mainly a joke.
Yeah,
Because like I genuinely don't believe anyone with PTSD would get over a fucking panic attack by just like rubbing some snow on themselves. Like it wouldn't he wouldn't snap out of it that quick. And Bruce straight up admitting to everyone that he tried to kill himself, and it was just glossed over.
yeah,
Like I get it in that moment, but I think they should have done something more. Like maybe had Black Widow, like just a tiny scene after credits, or like an extra scene or something where someone goes to check up on him, like afterwards. Like maybe in the shawarma shop, like she like holds him back, like, "Hey Bruce, are you okay?" Like you straight up
yeah,
admitted like you wanted to kill yourself. You tried to do it, and the Hulk said no. Like, are you doing all right, buddy?
yeah,
But it was just glossed over. This movie does a lot better job of it. Like you can actually see a lot of the actors going through extreme emotions because like they're gone from like free reign superheroes who are trying to save the world and make it a better place to basically lapdogs
yeah,
with the Accords, and a lot of them are like you can see the struggle with Black Widow, like trying to do the right thing or what she believes to be the right thing, and Cap and everyone else. Sam not so much, because he's sort of just like, no, I'm here for Cap. I'm not here for the Avengers. I'm here for Captain America. So he's
Yeah.
almost like always on his side. He's like 100% right there. Um, but like some of the other ones, like the emotions that they go through, like they went from fighting enemies to fighting each other, and that was like their at that point. I think they consider them family.
Yeah.
So and that's very hard to do. One thing that you mentioned before the podcast is that the very end, the fight between Tony and Captain America, they apparently the studio didn't want it, or maybe the higher ups
Yeah.
didn't want the fight in there. But I think it was 100% necessary.
Yeah. It's the final breaking point, and it shows um, the descent of Iron Man into just emotional chaos. For reliving the fact that he just lost all his or lost his parents again and blah blah blah, and then he finds out who actually did it, and showing that it's the person that has like they've either been hunting or when he came to terms with like, oh yeah, we'll go get the Zemo guy, and then he's helping him out, and then he finds out again like, oh fuck, Bucky's the one that killed my parents.
Yeah. Although I think he was much more upset about his mom than his dad. Like his dad,
Yeah,
he didn't really bring up his dad until the very end. I think, if I'm remembering right, when Cap was walking away with Bucky, and he's like, "My dad made that shield. Like you don't deserve that shield." And I enjoyed that part as well because like even if it was just like the realization that maybe my dad wasn't as shitty a person as I see him as,
hmm
um, there was like a little bit of rebuild in the relationship at the end. Like Tony was finally realizing, or maybe he was just saying that so he can get the shield away from Steve. Like, you just kicked the shit out of me and took my suit, left me in Siberia. I need to get something back. I need something for my prides. Like, leave the goddamn shield.
yeah, and that one I think follows through with the arc that Captain America is going throughout this movie, and then hits that pinnacle point when he finally drops it. Is that he is going to do what he thinks is right and what
Mm-hmm.
he knows is right, regardless of who's telling him no. Even the co-leader and his friend that he's had in Iron Man and Tony. So he drops the mantle of Captain America by dropping the shield, and it just ends with him going off on his own, also helping his friend, but being like, I will do what's needed to be done in order to protect everyone, and I can't have some council telling me where I need to go, which realistically, like, I'm, for the most part in this movie, I'm Team Cap all the way. Because he he's correct. It's the same concept he said. It's Shield, it's Hydra, it's the World Security Council. People and councils always have agendas, and it's you see it in governments all throughout the world. It always is influenced by something. There's no non-biased committee. It's always something, and then by the time they're done arguing, hey, maybe the building that they were going to be sent to is already blown up, or maybe the country's already flipped over.
Mm-hmm.
So allowing the heroes to make that quick decision because that's their job is to protect everyone,
Yeah.
and it makes no sense to sign these fucking accords.
Yeah, and like Cap said, like it doesn't do anything to, like no one's taking a responsibility. They're just shifting the blame.
Mm-hmm.
Because now instead of it being like, oh, the Avengers did this, it's like, oh no, like the UN voted for this. Which still, like, if you have a council of they had 117
Countries,
countries
yeah,
that signed it. So are you telling me that there's going to be 117 representatives, one from each country, that sign the accords that is going to be on that council, or is it going to be like a fewer number of people? How would you decide that? Because there's unless you're going off of a random lottery of everyone on the planet. Be like, okay, boom, you're on the council for the next 6 months. That would
yeah,
be the only fair way to do it because other than that, like everyone in that building has their own agendas and that's to their own country.
yeah,
So say like what is it? Palestine and Israel, correct? They're the ones that are almost always in feud.
yeah,
Imagine you had someone from Palestine and someone from Israel on the council, and there was something going on in the opposite country. They're obviously going to be like, no, I don't want them to go because I don't think it's right. Like, and they're going to come up with every reason in the book not to send them there because they hate that country. They're obviously not going to want to like save it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was like a random lottery, I think it would be all right because then it's like just a random like everyday person who probably cares more about saving people and saving lives than they do about what can I gain from this.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is, and that's why like I 100% agree with you. I'm on team Cap for this because you can't just come up to these people and be like, yeah, hey, thanks for saving the world multiple times and like stopping these people from like releasing fucking viruses. But yeah, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. You got to do what we say.
Yeah. Also, not only did they save the world in the first Avengers from the Chitauri, but they saved Manhattan from a nuke sent by people.
Yeah, by the World
So
Security Council.
it's crazy that they're just like, no, you guys are the ones destroying everything, and they're like, you would have created a giant crater in the and an unlivable zone
Yep.
because you guys are just like, all we can do is send a nuke, which may have stopped the aliens there. I don't think it was stopping that shield.
Yeah, no,
That-
it wouldn't have pierced the shield, but
Yeah.
that's where I was kind of confused, right? Because like even if it hits the building, the shield it's fine, but the ground underneath it is gone. So would the portal itself just like dissipate? Would it or disappear? Would it just get bigger, or would it just move closer to the ground, like wherever the machine is, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it moved. It might be like almost like a laser, like because that's what. So maybe it just like moves the portal, like a little bit wherever it lands.
Yeah.
And then you just got like Jataris coming out of the Empire State Building.
Yeah,
just
like
straight out.
congratulations. Now the portal is on the ground. They're just walking out.
Yeah.
Like there's no thing. A couple of the things that I didn't have like any qualms with was like Sokovia, because that was 100% preventable.
Yeah.
Don't fucking create a genocidal AI. Pretty fucking simple.
Yeah, because a lot of that with now they did okay showing some emotions with Ultron, which I think was needed for the character instead of just having like a robot being like, hey, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue with that is you can't do AI because AI will constantly evolve. But in that beginning section, he's taken whatever you say like at your word.
Yeah.
It's like talking to it's like Drax,
Yeah.
No metaphors, just goes
Yeah.
right over his head.
Everything is literal.
Yeah,
And I don't like. I would like to know where the rage came from, because that obviously wasn't coded, unless it came from like the Mind Stone.
I think that's
Because I'm assuming they just straight up pulled the framework from the Mind Stone for the AI and just tried to put it into like technology that would, or transfer it to the human technology in a way that would contain it. But since it was so massive, it took so many tries that they couldn't figure out. And I that's why I was wondering if Jarvis or / Vision was different, because he had all of that experience as just a regular AI. Like he evolved from, I can't even remember. Tony mentioned it in one of the previous movies, but he was just like a very, very simple program. Like, hey, Jarvis, make my coffee, and he would turn on the coffee pot, and then it evolved into like eventually running 80% of the business.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that maybe helped him realize, because like as he said in the last movie, he's like, I'm on the side of life, whereas Ultron was alive for 5 minutes or 5 seconds, searching the web, and is like, okay, there's war. Humans cause war. Therefore, if no humans, no more war. Everything's peaceful.
Yeah. Which the Vision in this one is great. The development of the story between Vision and Wanda, you can see that build up in those two character arcs. I think I like what they did with their arcs and their eventual love story much better than the Black Widow Bruce Banner one. I think that one was just added in there because it was the classic Hollywood trope of like, hey, we need a love story.
Yeah.
Let's do it that way. Whereas this one, there's an actual connection between the two, like a physical connection with the stone and her powers. And you see that develop throughout up until Infinity War and then the WandaVision series. But that one, it also doesn't seem crazy forced in this one. There's not really any love sections that are crazy forced. Just either build offs of what has already been started, like between Sharon Carter and Steve, and going from there.
Just getting anti Carter's sloppy seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fine. They didn't dance yet, so
That's true. And I don't know. Well, I don't recall Steve dancing with Sharon. But I haven't really. I didn't really pay too much attention. I did want to say, like, I kind of get the Black Widow and Hulk love story, because, like, the Hulk or Bruce is a man who had a monster put inside him, and in a similar way, Natasha is as well. It's not a literal monster. It's like what she was transformed into when she was a child.
yeah,
She was transformed into an assassin, and she sees herself as a monster, which I think she says in Ultron.
yeah,
So that would be like their common connection. Like, she sees herself as a monster, Bruce sees himself as a monster, but they don't see each other that way.
yeah. I don't know if it's the assassination part or the allude to in the first Avengers movie that I think that's what's carrying the guilt is when Loki says, "Can you wipe out that much red? This place, Dracov's daughter," and then you find that out in I think the next one.
Yeah.
Next one in the Black Widow movie. What actually happens? We'll go into that in the next podcast. But what Loki meant by Dracov's daughter, and I think that's the main thing. Maybe that the sister and everything like that. But we'll go big into Black Widow's history and character development, which so happy that she actually got a movie.
Yeah.
It's not a top tier movie. It's very generic when it comes to action and stuff like that. But having that extra little bit really helps. One of the other introductions of a quality character, and not only just character but actor as well, is Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther coming in on this one. He took that role very seriously. It's a huge mantle. Black Panther as the character itself, but just showing a minority or a black superhero. That's a lot on your shoulders, and the fact that he did it with stage 4 colon cancer is insane.
Yeah.
And he fought for the character itself to be who he is. I think originally the studios wanted an English accent for the characters for the people of Wakanda, which mind-blowing because they say Wakanda has been in the shadows and hasn't helped humanity. And if you actually, once we get to the Black Panther, I think it's either after Black Widow or just a couple after, like you see, it just looks like a regular African country and stuff like that. Like there's no, but when you get in there, like there's no colonization going on there, like like it is in South Africa, where you see with Ulysses Claw and stuff like that.
Yeah. Which, if they went that route, I probably would have boycotted, to be honest, because it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Like, a previously uncontacted country, or minimal contact country with the outside world, and they all have British accents? Where is Wakanda located in Africa in the MCU?
I think it's, like, pretty much in the middle. You see it in Age of Ultron when they're...
yeah. So that would make even less sense that they had, like, if they were on the coast, I could somewhat see it.
Yeah.
But in the middle of fucking Africa, like, everyone thinks it's a third world country, which I'm very confused by. Like, you see these guys rolling up to the UN, and they're in, like, nice ass suits, and they're driving, like, expensive ass cars, and all of their, like, bodyguards and everything are like dressed really nice, and it's not like, I don't know, traditional African. It's not like traditional Wakandan clothes. Mm-hmm. It's like they went down to the fucking Gucci store, and like he's like, here's my fucking Amex card. Tell me when the limit, or when we hit the limit.
Yeah.
And that's the joke, because He's a fucking billionaire. There's no limit.
Yeah, and yeah, Chadwick's acting in this one though as Black Panther was dope. Like again, harping on the emotional acting for these guys, going through the stages of grief is what I view his character arc in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a little bit of denial in the beginning, obviously when he's holding his father, and then just straight anger right after when he realizes and going after who he thinks Bucky, who they think, which is crazy because how would he get that far? He sets the bomb there. Where they're in Vienna, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they shows him in Bucharest. I don't know the distance between Bucharest and Vienna, but
I feel like it's a very far distance.
yeah, but could be short. But the fact that they say that it's Bucky, obviously, Captain America, who was basically forced to retire because he didn't sign the accords. Him and Sam um, go after his friend Bucky.
Well, it's about 11 hours by car.
Okay.
It would take 203 hours to walk. But
He is a super soldier.
Yeah, I was
though.
gonna say you can cut that in half.
Yeah.
That's still not. I mean, 11 hours. Yeah,
Um,
feasibly you could do it if you had the like everything set up. But like at the same time, I don't understand why they were all like, oh yeah, no, like he got caught by CCTV. It's the fucking Winter Soldier. 70 years and you guys couldn't find him. I mean, like
yeah.
the only people that had actual like footage of him were Shield, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And but no, he definitely was dumb enough to get himself caught on a camera. Like that, I think it didn't come through. It wasn't mentioned in the movie, I should say. But I think it was like on Steve's mind, because like he's like, I've been looking for this guy for a long time,
Yeah.
and I couldn't fucking find him with all of Tony's resources. Like why would he just get caught now? It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, you find out later why he got caught, and that's fucking hashtag Zemo.
Yeah. And this villain, I like when they do villains like this guy because realistically, he has no superpowers or anything like that. He's just like he says, he's resources and determination
Yeah.
and patience, and the fact that he over the course of a year did all this research, went through all the Hydra files in order to find and execute his plan of um, crumbling an empire, as he
Yeah.
likes to put it, and the way he did it too makes perfect sense. Just not just like you take out the empire. Obviously, an empire is just gonna build its way up
Yeah.
if you're the one that does it, but to take it down from the inside
Yeah.
was perfect. And it's the simplest thing. Is a guy who's trained death squad, and he loses his family just like how the lady in the beginning when she's talking to Tony and starts the Accords lost her son. So you can see that human element in him, just wants revenge and for what they did and what they took from him.
Mm-hmm. And I like how what they did at the end with Black Panther like coming up on him and being like, you've been consumed by revenge, and Tony and Bucky and Steve are currently being consumed by revenge, and that was his final like acceptance of his 5 stages of grief or however many they are. I never paid attention. I got a 1, anger. I'm mad about it. And he finally realizes like, no, I have to give this up before it consumes me. Another thing I had on my screen that I wanted to read here, but it keeps being a bitch, is the speech made by Sharon Carter at Peggy Carter's funeral.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 100% directed at Steve, like if she knew what was going on, but it seems like it was fucking spot on for that moment, and it gave me chills.
Yeah.
It gave me chills, and I did a weird little, like, because I was gonna cry.
Yeah.
And then the family name kicked in, and I was just like, nope, we're pushing it now.
Yeah.
But where is it? I guess it's just a section of it. But compromise where you can, where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is right, even if the whole world is telling you to move, it's your duty to plant yourself like a tree. And
Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps right now. It's your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye, and say, no, you move. And I thought
Yeah.
that was the moment. I genuinely think that's the moment that Steve was like, nope, fuck the Accords. Like, he was definitely against them before, but I think he was more like, we can do something about this. We can work around it, like maybe rewrite them, something like that, as he actually discusses with Tony.
Yeah.
But at that point, he was just like, nope, mind made up. I'm not fucking doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. That speech and that whole section definitely brought out some emotions, especially like having the funeral and then the way that he handled it, and you could just see like he still wanted to be the tough Captain America, but it still was crushing on the inside when he's carrying the casket and everything like
Yeah.
that. And then going throughout, and even having Black Widow come in, I think was a nice touch. She definitely, comparatively to Age of Ultron to this one, you definitely see more of her actually being um, still a person, but not relegated to that like whiny, cry
Yeah. Like,
female role that you see so much in Hollywood movies. It was more just like, hey, we had a moment in the Winter Soldier, like we broke down barriers in the Winter Soldier. You were there for me, you protected me, and stuff like that. So it's a level of friendship there, knowing he's not going to sign the Accords, but just wanting to be there for him. Because
yeah.
realistically, other than Sam, she was the only one that came
Yep.
to that funeral, and so it's
Though I don't know if many people knew, on the Avengers team, I don't know how many people actually knew about him and Peggy, like their actual relationship.
mhm.
Um, and plus, Black Widow just like gets information like crazy, right? Like she's definitely got a lot of fucking spider webs out there that get her information. I really liked, and this is gonna sound weird, but I liked the hug that she gave Steve because um, it didn't look like a just like a hug. It actually looked like he fucking put his head right down. Like it looked like he was going to break down, and she knew it.
Yeah,
And that I thought was really hard to show in a movie because like most of the time she's like, yeah, no, we're gonna give this person a hug, but like there are very different ways, and I mean like you may not consciously realize it. But one of my favorite things to do in real life is that if someone asks me for a hug, I fuck with them. I give them what I call a mom hug. So you put one hand on the back of their neck, and then you rub their back with your other hand.
yeah,
And I've had at least 5 people, like, just what the hell was that?
yeah.
So like that's called emotion, and I'm forcing it at you. But yeah, I like this. I cannot stress enough like the acting in this movie all around. I think was fantastic. Like the emotions that they have to portray, and the story that it's telling, um, without saying anything, right?
Yeah,
Like even the way Steve changes when he gets the text message, she's gone, and it was in her sleep. Like you see the change in his face, and when he bolts out of there, and as soon as he's out of view of everyone, he has a little bit of like he takes a moment for himself to try and compose himself. And with the scene actually that between Wanda and Vision, when like Vision is trying to cheer her up, but he's like, I'm not human. I don't know what to do. I'll cook
yeah,
her food. She eats. And even though he like doesn't have taste buds, he may have taste buds, but he's never eaten anything before.
yeah,
Like he gives it his all, and she notices that with the cooking, and it does for a moment. It does like bring her spirits up, as she says. Although it happens pretty quick. It just brings her right back down when she tries to go grocery shopping, and Vision like keeps her there.
yeah,
Although you get a little bit more of the relationship there as well, because it's not like a violent thing. Like Tony told me you're staying here. It's like, please stay. Even the way he stops her, it wasn't a violent. It was just like he held his hand out, and it just to say like, please don't make me do anything I don't want to do. Like I just want to make sure you're here and safe.
Yeah.
Even though he says it's like it's not for your safety, I think that was a Tony line that he was just parroting
Yeah.
because like Vision doesn't see any danger from her.
No, and it. I think it's almost like not a crazy danger, but almost like a teenage danger, like the reaction that she has,
Mm-hmm.
which you see in the beginning when she's asking them what to do. They're sort of like training her throughout this mission, but then she wraps the like her powers around Crossbones in order to hold in the explosion, and it was an impulsive choice. Is like boom, just chuck them up in the air
Yeah.
without actually looking around, and then realizing, which she that again takes a toll on her too, because that's one of the triggers that you see throughout the movies, the emotional trauma that she goes through as a character, to eventually transition into the Scarlet Witch. Um, but I want to touch on the action sequences in this movie. Not as many jump cuts I found. A lot of them were, I think, more panning shots
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Instead of going back and forth, it was just like a wraparound or something like that. One of my favorites is when they find Bucky and they're chasing him down, and it's the play with Black Panther, with Bucky, Captain America, and everything like that. The way they shot them running through cars,
Mm-hmm.
I thought was the coolest thing, because it was almost like the cars were going slow and they were still running themselves. So, but the way it was shot made it look like they were the super soldiers and still being able to take off.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't like it from Black Panther as much that he was able to keep up, because he, unless it's because of the suit that's why, because he doesn't have the flower yet.
Actually, I wanted to talk about that because I think he does. Because when he's talking in the car after they got just after that, when they got arrested, when he's talking to Sam and Steve, he says that I already like he explains the warrior mantle of the Black Panther,
Mm.
and he's saying I already have that mantle, and now I also wear the mantle of King because his father died. So I think
Oh,
he is
okay.
like he was already Black Panther, because how would he get the suit that quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't one of the ones that like was the nano suit. Like this was an actual like zip up, like clip on type suit. So I think he was already like he already had the purple flower. He already had the panther sauce, if you will.
Yeah, and I guess
Um,
they do take it out of him for
mhm.
so.
And
Yeah,
that's like I've always wondered that too because like they do before his duel with Umbatu, I want to
M'Baku.
say Umbaku. Um, they do take away his like Black Panther sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood like why you giving him another one or like it never explained that. But now I realize in this movie it's very very subtle. But I think he had already had the powers of the Black Panther, um, just because like he already said he has the mantle of warrior, and,
Yeah.
and it makes sense because his dad like no offense but his dad has a bust ass eye that I'm 99% sure does not work,
Yeah.
and he's like he's not fat but he's like he's on the bigger side, he's like he's got the old man gut, and like even him souped up on the panther sauce I think I could take him.
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah, he's definitely more on the political
Yeah,
part of being a leader than a protector.
and I think it shows a little bit like how rash um, T'Challa is, or T'Chaka? No, that's Rainbow Six Siege. That's a totally different one.
T'Chaka is the father, and T'Challa
T'Challa, okay.
is the son.
Yeah, when I hear T'Chanka, I think of the god from Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it showed how impulsive he was because even like he went from mourning his dad's death to instant I'm gonna kill Bucky, and that was really quick. But I think throughout this movie he learns his lessons of what his dad was trying to teach him all those years.
Yeah.
Evidence of that is that he was talking to Black Widow right before the UN summit, and he said, "I think two people in a room can get more done than 100." And
Yeah.
he genuinely believes that. And in most cases, it would be right. And then his dad comes along and drops a wisdom bomb on him, like, unless you need to move a piano.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job of like subtly showing how he definitely wasn't ready for the role of king until the end of the movie when he's like, I can't let revenge consume me. Like he's no
Yeah.
longer gonna let him let himself be controlled by petty bullshit.
Yeah. Almost very reminiscent of another hero, of Thor, having to learn the exact same lesson
Yeah.
from the first one. Now yeah, so that fight scene was really good. Um, then leading in more into Zemo himself, this is where his like master plan is coming to fruition. Is after this fight scene, um, taking control, which like it's basic psychology for this. It's just basic reinforcement.
Yeah.
Having your trigger words and having that just like Pavlov's dog, causing this, and Zemo finds the Hydra book, takes control of the Winter Soldier, just to get information on where the evidence is,
Yeah.
and then because Winter Soldier's in survival mode and kill mode, that's why he sort of takes off, and then we get to see just before he gets conkied, um, the Chris Evans flex, holding a helicopter just by himself, which like I don't think he actually held like a helicopter, but
No, he did.
that stunt. Oh, he did, eh?
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, because there was a point, I don't know if it was before or after they shot that sequence, but instead of going down, the helicopter pilot went up, and Chris Evans got injured.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the specific injury, but I don't think I think it was just like a torn muscle or something like that. Like it wasn't that serious. Um, but I think that's why they changed the grip, because you can see him like near the end, like he's definitely grabbing onto it, and then it pans to Bucky, and then it goes back to Steve when he's pulling it down, and he's literally just got his hand on top of the rail and is pushing it down.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's why they did that, or it's like that was just what Chris Evans did in the scene. I do know that he wanted to be shirtless in the scene for some reason. But I mean, like, you're flexing hard. You got to be flexing hard to do that. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why the studio was like, nah, like it may be too gratuitous, or we don't want to have to like force you to not drink water for 3 weeks, so
Yeah.
that you're fucking cut down enough so that we can see every single fucking muscle fiber flex, because
Yeah.
that's what it would be.
It's a classic Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
Yeah, like if I see a man literally holding a helicopter on the ground, like if he's not almost bursting at the seam, he's not. That's it's not real.
Yeah.
And even that, like that one, I found a little bit hard to believe because, like, although I guess he's got a little bit of meat on him, like he's not like the Hugh Jackman fucking cut down. Because I was expecting like veins popping out of everywhere, but there was just like I guess the regular veinage. I don't know the word.
Yeah. But yeah, and then leading into even the fight scene before with just Tony and Black Panther, who and then Sharon Carter and Black Widow. Just again, the choreography and all the scenes was great. The way it was shot was all good. It didn't um, it didn't seem over the top in a lot of things, um, which was good. There was not really a dull moment throughout the movie, which I like. Even the smaller parts where it's just talking, there's always some things that you can pick up,
Yeah.
and there's always information being given. And then the introduction of consistently more super soldiers, which is good. I would love to know how, like, the serum that they have in the Death Squad, because they lost the serum for that made Captain America, so they were constantly trying to develop new stuff.
Yeah.
So I would like to know that separation, and the side effects, because they said pretty much the only one who didn't have adverse side effects throughout was Steve Rogers.
Yeah. Because I don't know, because Bucky is a super soldier, correct? Did he get the sauce at the same time as these other guys?
No, he got it. I'm pretty sure he got it when he fell off the train, or either not when he fell off the train, but before when Steve found him first in the Hydra base in
Mm-hmm.
Captain America 1. That because Zola was doing experiments and stuff on him, so I think it was a development of maybe a serum from Red Skull's blood, and that's what caused him to kind of survive at least a little bit from that fall,
Mm-hmm.
and then more development when they found his body in the ravine, and then that's what turned him into the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, because that would make sense. Because I know, I believe the original Doctor's name was Erskine,
Yeah,
or the German one. So he did work on it before. That's how Red Skull got his. So I mean, if they put Zola on that right away, which I assume he would, because like who the fuck wouldn't want an army of super soldiers?
yeah,
So I'm thinking it's maybe like a toned down version, because he doesn't have any adverse side effects. So they either like toned it down so he's not like a super soldier like Red Skull, um, or do they just like he actually eventually figured out how to get rid of the bad side effects.
yeah,
Um, Another thing I want to talk about, because like if they did get, because I would assume Howard Stark replicated the formula at that point, because well, no, Steve wasn't out of the ice yet, but they had. I'm assuming they took blood samples from him to like try
yeah.
and replicate the formula, and you can see the age difference. Like that took easily 40 years.
Oh yeah,
Like I'd say minimum 40 years to do that, because when he first gave it to Steve, he was a young and single, and then he was an old man when they
yeah.
actually like when he was going to deliver the sauce.
Well, this one happened just after Pym. So
Oh yeah,
Hank Pym
true.
was like 1986, and then when he was transporting this one, it was 1991.
Yeah.
So a few years. So definitely had the miles on him, which
Oh yeah. No,
the
that's fucking 60
the
years.
yeah, and the consistency um, that they had throughout that timeline, like showing, because I think Ant Man happened. Yeah, Ant Man happened beforehand, but just showing that these different years and then showing the actual person. I think they do a good job for the most part when it comes to that timeline kind of thing. And yeah, there's a bit of hiccups everywhere, but
I think
there's a
Marvel
small.
is like one of the best for doing stuff like that. Other than Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, I find, is the number one for continuity.
Yeah,
Yeah. If it's even just like a subtle thing in the background, there's always an explanation for something that has happened or will happen in the show, like previously. There was something I just learned. There's an episode in like season 3, I think, that there's a random parasite that shows up in the house, and no one knows. Like Rick is accusing everyone of bringing it in, but if you go and watch an episode from the previous season, you can see him putting a bunch of like uranium or whatever in his car, or his space car,
yeah.
and it's got like these pink little things on it, and those are the fucking parasites. And in the beginning of the actual parasite episode itself, you can see him throwing away the rocks, and there's still one of those things, but it's like busted open.
Okay.
Yeah, like it is fucking insane. Like you would think that there is nothing joining these episodes together, but then you like take a closer look at it and like look stuff up. The continuity is fucking insane. But I mean, for the scale, Marvel has to be number one for movies,
Yeah.
because they have, well, movies and TV, because their universe isn't just contained in like a single form of media. It's they've got TV shows, they've got movies, they've got shorts, they've got everything that is linking to the MCU. And I honestly I can't recall a thing where they dropped the ball. Um, like nothing comes to mind with like a continuity error. Um, there's some stuff I have questions about, like with the Loki show.
Mm-hmm.
When did they fucking replace him? Because that didn't happen. We never saw that in the actual movies. So I don't know if that was like a pre-planned thought, or they were just like, okay, we're gonna do this at this point, and we'll just come up with an excuse why the people didn't see it happen.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil what happens, because you should watch fucking all of the MCU, including the TV shows.
Yeah. Which they're just pumping out more.
Oh yeah, I
I'm
mean
so
it's a fucking
so
money making
stoked.
machine at this point, because the
Yeah.
MCU is so established, and at this point, there's no reason not to watch it, because no matter who you are or who you identify as, there's something for you.
Yeah.
And if there's not like a character that is like directly related to you, like you could just plop yourself into the character, there will be, because they're I'm assuming there's been a huge outcry for more support for like people of color and like LGBTQ plus. I think there's two more letters, but I can't remember
Yeah.
them. But there's a lot of representation that either is already in it or is going to be in it.
Yeah. I think they have Eternals, which releases um, on the 5th. Go out, see that for sure. Um, they have a like one of the Eternals is gay.
Yeah.
They have a deaf, and not only like the character itself is not only deaf, but the actor playing the character is deaf.
Which I think is like the most logical thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
I do have issues with Hollywood sometimes. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, this is like a wheelchair bound person,
Mm-hmm.
but they hire like a perfectly normal, like Bryan Cranston. Um,
Yeah.
which I mean, like I get a little bit, because it would definitely be a lot harder for someone with the actual disease to perform. Like the representation, spot on, obviously, because they have the illness, but the portrayal of the actual like the character inside, because specifically for that one, I can't remember the actual movie, but I know he's a quadriplegic, so
Yeah.
the you wouldn't be able to have as much range in the character unless you went with someone who didn't have that, right? But for something like a deaf character, absolutely hire the deaf person. There is no reason you shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think in the Hawkeye show they're gonna have his character of Echo. I think she's blind. She might be blind or deaf. She one of the two.
Okay.
Um, and is Native American, and they've got same thing. They've got the actor in there, and I think they're actually getting their own show, like the Echo show as well. So
Okay.
one of the things that Marvel's good at doing is introducing these characters, but then also later on expanding on their stories,
Yeah.
especially because you have another introduction in this one. Spider-Man coming to making his MCU debut
Yep.
in this movie. Tom Holland, perfect,
Yep.
absolutely perfect casting. Great Peter Parker and Spider-Man. But he'll go on to get his own movies. Black Panther going on to get his own movies.
Yep.
Falcon and Winter Soldier get their own TV show to help explain it. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. Bit of a spoiler: Sam transitioning into the next Captain America.
Yeah, I thought that, like, because that is, I'd say, the main focus of the show is like him trying to, uh, I guess, justify to himself like why he should be Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Because like everyone's like, no, like it has to be this person, it has to be this, he has to have this quality. It's like, no, Captain America chose you. That's the only qualification that you need, and it sucks. It takes him like almost the entirety of the fucking show to get there. But there's a lot of other character building in the show, like the relationship between Bucky and Sam is like they take a magnifying glass and go real deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like the discourse that they have in this movie, which I think is fucking phenomenal and it's like unreal funny.
Yeah.
Like just right after the fucking funeral, after that, the amazing like quote that Steve's like, "I have to no, I'm not signing the accords," and all Sam took was from that was, "I'm not moving my seat up.
Yeah.
This is my stand." But then like 3 seconds later, after Cap kisses Sharon, they're both like, he turns and looks in the car, and they're both wearing the same shit
Yeah.
eating grin.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Which I guess we can start on that too. Is the writing in this movie and the dialogue between the characters and the director or the direction that each one took. We've already touched on the acting itself, but the writing itself and the dialogue is fantastic.
Mhm.
Like they're as the MCU goes on, you just keep seeing it over and over again. It's like you're watching it, like it's like you're in that third person, like you're in the movie itself watching, because you can see these conversations actually happening. Like in a lot of times in real life, it's that back and forth, and it's the fact that they um, don't miss. Like there's not like a this person says lines, boom boom boom, pause, next person says lines, and there's none of that. It's you can see the reactions on the characters' faces as they're going through everything, and the back and forth is just amazing that they're doing it, and the fact that the Russos nailed this one as well, just showed, and it also adds in the character development as well, between each other.
The only one I'd say that nailed it more was I don't know his fucking name, but the guy who's gonna play Adam Warlock.
Oh, Will, uh,
Poulter.
yeah, Will Poulter, I think.
Yeah, everyone knows him as Eyebrows from.
We're the Millers.
Yeah, so actually, it's from that movie. Something I didn't realize is that he stayed up the entire night to study that song. So he was the one that chose the song, the one that he like raps around along
Yeah.
to, like TLC Waterfalls. He was the one that chose it. Their reactions are genuine. That was the first take. They didn't realize he was gonna rap along to the entire thing, like note for note, key for key, everything he did fucking spot on. So all the reactions are genuine, and you see similar like in the MCU. So I don't know if like I can't tell if it was written that way or if like a lot of the dialogue was done off the cuff. Like it was just the actors like just going off of each other. Um, Improv. That's the word I was looking for. If they were like
Yeah.
doing improv on set, because the way it flows, it's so well done. Like I don't see it being written.
Yeah.
So if it is, like, fucking amazing job.
Yeah.
Because you definitely can't tell a lot of the time that like that it was a pre-written script.
Yeah, and I think that goes to show, not only Kevin Feige's genius, but not even genius, but passion for the art itself, and wanting to bring everything forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like being a fan of the comics and everything like that. And I think that's what they do is they find these directors that they know are going to be passionate. They're like these directors, these writers, these producers. They're all nerds.
Yeah,
They're all geeks. They all grew up on all this. And I think even the actors themselves, like when they get cast in the roles, like they're jumping in to the comics, and some of them are just they're reading the comics, they're learning the characters, but some of them are even just fans of said thing. Like
yeah,
it's very few of them are just like, um, they just don't like the role or anything like that.
yeah. None of the actors or the actual directors seem like they're in it for a paycheck, which a lot of
Yeah,
movies today are. A great example of that is fucking Hubie Halloween.
yeah,
I do not give a shit what anyone says. I love that movie,
yeah,
but I love it. I don't want to say in an ironic way. Like I recognize it was set out to be like a fucking awful campy movie,
mm-hmm.
and that's why I enjoy it because it hits all of those points on the head. And you can definitely tell like a lot of these. If I read online that like a director took zero pay or a pay cut just to do one of these movies, it wouldn't surprise me at all because like these don't seem like a job to someone. This is like a passion project.
Yeah,
It seems like something that you would want to do instead of like I'm being forced to do this. Like I'm being paid to do this. I have to do it. It seems like I get to do this and they're giving me a fuck ton of money. Down.
yeah. And I think that's what it is because they are masters of their craft and everything like that. They recognize because John Bernthal, who played the Punisher,
Yeah.
he is like he won't come back. Like a lot of people don't come back to characters that they've already played or something like that unless the story's good.
Yeah.
Now I think he would come back regardless, but they've definitely had the conversations like they people want to be in these movies because they're written so well, because there's that passion there, because
Mm-hmm.
they and the ability that they can um, study a character and be like, hey, okay, like here are my ideas for it, and then people will be like, no, yeah, that definitely makes sense, because obviously when you're directing, you have to make sure like every scene is, but when you have an actor going into and they study their own character, like that's their whole persona is this character.
Yeah.
So obviously they're going to have a little bit more knowledge than you will. You know what you're looking for in the scene, which is good. And again, one of the great action scenes is that almost not final battle, but the standoff that actually causes the Civil War.
Yeah.
Even the writing in that scene was good. The fact that it's back and forth with Spider-Man going like, "Oh my God, you've got a metal arm, like this is sick." Just almost being a teenager, also showing the strength of Spider-Man.
Yeah. Because whereas Black Panther couldn't hold Bucky down, like it couldn't hold his super soldier arm, metal arm down. Peter caught it and was manipulating him like he was nothing.
Yeah.
And going along what you said about the actors, like they definitely, I find in the MCU, they give the actors a lot more freedom to portray and kind of create their character. Because like I will admit I'm not 100% on the comics. I I haven't done my research properly. I'm not as into them as a lot of other people, but it seems like none of these characters are taken directly from a single series.
Yeah.
Like I know with the Punisher, when he first got cast, he went to a comic book shop and he started picking out like different comics to read. Which, and thankfully I think the guy was like, no, you're not taking any of these. You're taking this, and this. Don't fuck this up. That was like a direct quote of what the guy at the shop said to him. But I think that's something that they do very well in this. Like they give them, it's like, here's a general idea of what we want for the character. The actor then takes it a step farther and goes, okay, this is what they want. This is what has been shown from the character, like done with the character in past with comics. And then they sort of go for a middle ground where they create their own character. Like I know with Wanda, she was given absolutely zero guidance on how to use her magic.
Yeah.
They basically said, all right, you can use magic, do with that what you will. And that's where like she completely came up with the movements and everything that she did. Some of them I don't quite understand, like because she's just using her mind to move stuff most of the time. So I understand like moving her arms because you're like, okay, I'm psychically grabbing onto this car and throwing it over there.
Yeah.
But near the end of that fight, after they did like the actual final face-off against each other, when Cap and Bucky are trying to get to the Quinjet to get to Siberia, and I think it's Vision like cuts down the tower.
Yeah.
And she catches it, but for some reason she's in like a fucking 90-degree lunge and is almost falling over.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like I didn't quite catch it, if she was like falling over beforehand or if she just like went to catch it and then realized, oh fuck, this real heavy, and then the weight of it, like just from her mind, pushed her down.
Yeah, which could be because it's almost like she herself was under it.
Yeah.
Like pulling how Captain America or Spider-Man, the classic Tobey Maguire Spider-Man holding back that train, like just seeing that, it was like she was underneath of it. Or in this one, when Spider-Man's holding up that little thing when Cap nails the fucking beam out from underneath of it.
Oh yeah.
So then he has to hold it up. I did like the almost little connection that Captain America and Spider-Man made, being like, "Hey, oh, you're from New York? Hey, where you from, kid?" Queens, and then he's like, "Oh, Brooklyn."
Yeah.
And you see that later on in once we get to Endgame, when Captain America hucks Mjolnir. He's like, "Hey, Brooklyn," or "Hey, Queens," and he's like to toss it there. The understanding from these heroes too is crazy. The fact that when Sam when they're like, "Hey, we like, come on guys, like we all got to get to the Quinjet," and he's like, "No, you guys go. Like we know we're gonna have to take an L, so you can take the W."
Yeah.
And the fact that these guys, I think most of them that are on Cap's team are like they don't really, other than Wanda, they don't really have superpowers. You got Hawkeye, which he's doing the right thing. Ant-Man, I guess he's got the Pym particles, but realistically, no real hero aspect of him.
Yeah, not really. Like the only thing he's done heroically at this point was steal the suit.
Yeah.
I guess he stopped Yellow Jacket, but That's not really something that's common knowledge to the world at that point.
Yeah.
Ouch. Something I wanted to point out earlier that I just completely forgot of. You know the during the highway chase scene,
Yeah.
um, the part where like Bucky snatches that guy off the or snatches the motorcycle from that guy.
Yeah.
That was not CGI. That was a practical effect. A stuntman actually grabbed a moving fucking motorcycle, and I guess they had. I'm assuming they have wires or something strung up, but like none of that was CGI. And I never would have called that like, who the fuck would do that?
Yeah.
Like the logical choice would be like studio, yeah, just fucking animate it because I don't want to like put anyone at risk. But that's something I think Marvel later on in the movies does a lot better. Is they use a lot more practical effects as compared to just green screening everything.
Yeah.
Like what was that? I think it was actually Avengers: Age of Ultron that like they did a fuck ton of green screening. Most of it was really well done.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just because like the generation that we're part of. I much prefer practical effects.
Yeah.
Like I will take a mid-range practical effect to a higher range animated effect any day.
Yeah. And which is that's what I prefer, mostly in like fight scenes. Now, in these fight scenes, it's a little bit harder to do, and the action sequences in these, it's harder to do the practical effects because you have like you've got your flyers, you've got the people using magic and stuff like that. But the scrap when it was in Winter Soldier, when it was between Winter Soldier and Cap, when they were going back and forth, and that knife flip, that's actually Sebastian Stan doing that knife flip,
Mm-hmm.
and he practiced that and went through the choreography and everything like that. So, um, it's one of those things that the more I see it, and it just looks better. There are certain things you can't do, but like Peter's suit, like that they have an actual suit, and then they've got the little dots and stuff like that that help add more textures to it.
Mm-hmm.
Vision, like that's full makeup.
Yep.
There's dots on there. They add certain things, but even the CGI itself, the Spider-Man suit is a little, I think, a little too animated.
Yeah, it
They
looks
got
weird at a lot of points.
two more CGI. It's like a almost like a silky satin kind of look to it, so it doesn't feel real. But there are certain things and stuff like when you get to Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show, when you get to that final scene where Sam's suited up as Captain America, a good chunk of that suit is actually CGI.
Yeah.
And they take stuff out of it and the mask and everything like that. So the combination between the two, I think they do very well. And even this one, like there's not too many effects in this movie that I think are bad.
Yeah, there's not a lot like nothing stands out in my mind, and one thing I do tend to harp on a lot is like shitty effects. It's one of the things that'll take me out of a movie the quickest.
Yeah.
But there's nothing really in this movie that I had an issue with. Maybe some of Vision's things, like when Hawkeye was trying to break Wanda out of the house or the compound. Um, at some points it looked kind of janky, but I know it was because he's like constantly phasing to like dodge or like slip through Clint. But I think it was when he was getting pelted in the face. It like he had like a silvery shine to it at certain parts, and it looked really pixelated.
Yeah, I think they did that more to show like not only can he phase out, but he can just like rock hard his shit.
Oh,
Like
okay.
like
Well, I guess yeah, that would make a lot of sense then, because like you don't really see in this movie anyway, like nothing touches his face.
yeah,
Whereas like farther on in the series, they with the relationship between Vision and Wanda, they do show like he's more human esque, and I think he does change a lot physically. I'd say from this movie to like the next one, because he takes a more humanoid shape instead of like the more blocky he is
Yeah.
in this one. He actually goes for like a normal shape as opposed to I'm a robot.
yeah. I like the fact that they brought in the raft, just showing like where some of these more higher end criminals will go. I don't I don't know where exactly the raft is in this movie because in the comic books and the TV shows, it's just off of New York. Like it's still in the water, but it's just off of New York. I think it actually moves consistently.
Yeah.
Um, but I like that they brought that in, and I like the just because you have supervillains, like they're not going to regular supermax prison
Yeah.
or anything like that. Um, and then the other thing, I guess we'll jump back to the character of Vision, just because I thought of it, is his development into more of a human. When he fires up to try and take out um, Sam, ends up fucking War Machine pretty badly. And then when War Machine's in the hospital, when Rhodey's there in the MRI, Tony's like, "Hey, like, what the hell happened?"
Yeah.
And then he was like, "I became distracted," and he's like, "I didn't think that was possible." So it just shows that the AI evolves,
Yeah.
almost like in Free Guy, with Ryan Reynolds. You see, like he's actually spoilers. He's an AI, and he develops emotions and actually love towards this character. In this one, now we're getting close to the end of the movie. The the ability that RDJ has to flip through um, so many different parts of the character, where he's like, oh, I'm like, my best friend is just crushed. So you can already see like there's almost not that PTSD, but he's already on the edge.
Yeah.
Because you can see that flip instantly where he's just like, oh fuck, Zemo. Okay, maybe Cap's right. Which it seems really weird. It almost seems forced, but it works because he's not in that right state of mind because he's worried about his best friend.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't want to lose another friend, so that's why he goes there. And then once he actually gets there, and Zemo finally finishes his plan, which like genius, absolute genius plan. I don't know if it would have affected Tony as much had he not been in that state, where he was already worried about his friend, and like the whole build up throughout the movie was just constant battle with emotions, being like, oh man, like I gotta take out my friend in order to stop him from doing this. Like this is all bad. And then that final crescendo where he sees Bucky kill his mom. Um, I think it had to be just C. I don't think those cameras pick up that much sound. Like you definitely wouldn't hear like when it goes into the our zoomed in version of the video where it actually shows the events. Um, but that flip and that freeze, and then you can just see the eyes watering up, being like, "Holy fuck!" And then his just absolute disregard for everything except kill Bucky.
Yeah. I don't know if they would have done it any different, like, because I know he's definitely under a lot of stress with like the whole Sokovia Accords thing, and then it's like I have to take Cap down. Like he knew like he might have to arrest him at one point, but then it became like a reality at the airport, and they showed it a little bit. Like there wasn't so much apprehension as it was like it it wasn't. He didn't feel the same as like I'm taking down a villain. It's I'm taking down a friend or like a family member, or specifically Captain fucking America, which would be almost impossible for anyone to do. But like the person that you formed this team with, you saved the world together.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's why they did like the Pepper thing. It was never really explained, other than the reason. Well, the reason she wasn't in the movie was because they were fighting because Tony always wanted to be a hero, always had to be a hero at that point. He couldn't make the distinction between Iron Man and himself. It was he is Iron Man.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was like a personal problem with the actor, like why she wasn't in this movie. But I think they might have been using that like just in case he wasn't as like emotionally distressed with the whole Civil War thing. Because I think they easily could have gone with Tony is less concerned with the team and more concerned with the general populace, because like I've been with these guys for years. I've fought with them. I know they can take care of themselves if something goes wrong. But like
Yeah.
a regular ass person can't, so we need these accords for that reason. I didn't know if they were gonna go that route for it. But I think honestly he probably would have had a breakdown regardless. Um, I think maybe it would have been more towards his mom, like or actually only about his mom, because he would have still had that fight with his dad. He still would have been like, yeah, fuck it, I don't give a shit about dad.
Yeah.
But it showed near the end, like he instead of just caring about his mom, like obviously when he saw that footage, that's all he cared about. Like you killed my mom. He says that to Bucky, but it it shows at the end like he actually does care about his father as well.
Yeah.
And spoiler for Endgame, when he actually like gets to talk to him for one last time, like thinking now after rewatching this, I think it makes sense. Like he's a lot softer, if that
Yeah.
makes sense towards his dad. I wish they would have got the same guy to play young Tony, because like I think they just de-aged the one guy that plays like older Tony's dad.
Um.
Well, I guess it was like the '60s though.
Yeah. Yeah. It was roughly. Yeah. It was in the '60s era.
Yes. Yeah,
So.
well, he would have been around like age appropriate, I'd say. Right, like the guy from Captain America that
Yeah.
played
Yeah. Yeah.
Howard. Yeah, I think they should have brought him back for Endgame instead of just like de-aging the one guy.
Yeah. But I guess it had been roughly 20-ish years, 27 years. So I definitely see the point, like to do that, but maybe they tried and they or the one that they got, because I like that guy as Howard Stark. That guy is an actor. He played in like Spotlight and stuff like that, and like did great. Um, One of the other things that is good about this the final action sequence, is the that almost final little development of Bucky, when Tony's got him in that headlock, and he's like, "Do you even remember them?" And he's Bucky says, "I remember all of them."
Yeah,
So not he knows that he has this mind control issue, like they just take over, but he's still consciously aware of what he's doing, and will see that in like Captain or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, um, in Infinity War and Endgame. Now those ones, it's always a constant battle, and they develop more. But the fact that he says that, he's like, I remember all of them, and then the battle scene happens, and it's the slight change of dialogue, or the slight little dialogues that you notice, especially when he goes, Cap's like, sorry Tony, like he's my friend, and then that's the final nail in the coffin, I think, is this line, and Tony goes, so was I.
yeah,
Just that, not so am I, so was I, because he knows, boom, you're done, because you knew about this guy killing my mom and you didn't say shit.
yeah. So that was definitely a breaking point for Tony. Um, I think like throughout the movie, it really shows like Sebastian Stan does a fantastic job of showing like he still remembers these people. It's not said or shown in the film. Maybe just like a little snippet when Cap like first enters his apartment in Bucharest. But like the journal that he's holding up, the bag that he like punches through the floor to grab, I thought it was just like a bug out bag, like money, passports, etc., whatever you need to survive.
Yeah.
Uh, Apparently, it was filled with journals of just pieces of information from his past that he remembered. So he wrote it down so he would always remember.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was saying, he does like a fantastic job of showing the regret and the remorse of killing all these people. I would assume it's sort of similar to like Get Out, where he's sort of just pushed to the back of his own mind. Like
Yeah.
he's still 100% conscious and aware of everything that he is doing and everything that's happening to him, but he has absolutely no control over his own body because of like the
Yeah.
brainwashing.
Yeah, and I think you end up seeing that, in our next movie too, with Black Widow and all the other widows.
We got Purple Widows, we got
Yeah.
Brown Widow.
But yeah, other than that, like the writing is good. the humor in this I think is on point. It's not overdone. I don't think it's forced. Um, Even the anger, the sadness, everything. There wasn't anything that pulled me out of this movie. And once again, just like every other movie, now that I get older and older, it's those certain scenes just you find the relatability in these movies to these characters and the pain they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was just great overall. Fantastic movie. Um, the Russos came more into their own, and this is like I think this is the movie that set them up perfectly for directing Infinity War and Endgame
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
bringing that forward. They nailed the winners like Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That was a great film. It did have a couple hiccups here and there. I feel like they've ironed them out in this one, and yeah, I would give this one a solid 9. This would absolutely be a 9 for me. Probably even like a 9.5.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna go with a 9.5 because like thinking thinking back, there's no complaints that I have other than like I would like more out of some characters or like more elaboration on the characters. What's his name, Jawbone or the fucking Hydra Boner boy?
Crossbones?
Yeah, Crossbones.
Yeah.
I would love more out of him because like it was just a quick, hey, how do you do? I'm still with Hydra. I'm stealing shit. Also, I'm alive because like they thought he died. A building fell on him. Of course, you'd think he died. Um, but there's absolutely nothing in this movie that I see issues with. It's just the only thing holding me back from that 10 is like because I want more. I want
Yeah.
a 4 hour fucking movie. Like I don't care. I don't care at this point anymore. Like if I enjoy a series like this, like you give me that special director's cut that is 4 hours long, I will pay for it. I'd go and watch it in the theaters.
Yeah.
It'd be a fucking challenge, and I definitely have at least a half cup of piss with me.
Yeah.
But I would definitely watch it because they do such a phenomenal job. Like if I think it was the Russo brothers, they did Endgame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russos did
So when
Infinity
they
War
said
Endgame.
if they had like a 6 hour cut or something like that of Infinity War Endgame, I would 100% watch that. If they released that in theaters, oh, without a doubt in my mind, because it would be a fucking 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because they get to have the entirety of their vision. And like even this movie, it's damn near perfect. And can you imagine if they had full reign over the entire movie instead of like the studio getting a say on like, okay, this is the limit on how long it is. Like you
Yeah.
can't cut, you have to cut this, you can't put that in. Like what this movie would have been if they had full free reign of it, it would be another like a fucking perfect masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like I'd be very surprised if in like 50 years this specifically is not considered a classic movie, like one of the top 10 movies you have to watch before you go.
Yeah.
Because out of all of them, I'd say this one, besides the final two, this one is number one.
Yeah. And that's it's one of those things again, just directors showing passion for what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and the length on these ones, just like with the Schneider cut of the Justice League, the Lord of the Rings movies, even just because there is that length on them, watching them you don't feel like it is that long.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's over in a blink because it's that good,
Mm-hmm.
and the actors, the characters, even adding in so many characters and having like so many characters in Infinity War and Endgame, the way they handle everything just seems perfect. Same with you. There, like I want more. There's a couple little like slight things like Spider-Man suit and stuff. Just the odd little nitpicky things um, that keep it from that 10. But this is easily one of the best MCU movies for all things considered, for action and stuff like that. Thor, like when we get to Thor Ragnarok, that is again one of the top MCU movies for me, but it's because of a different aspect. Is because they took it more in like a comedic role
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Whereas this one, um, is more of the emotional roller coaster, more of the seriousness. So, and with that, that's a 9.5 from By the Rail side for this one.
Yeah.
Um, we'll wrap it up there. Just because I feel like if we keep going, this is gonna be a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
But don't forget to join us again next week. We'll be watching Black Widow. As you may have noticed, it is just me and Jordan. It looks like that's probably where we're leaning towards from now. So if you got any tips or anything like that, please let us know at By Railside on Twitter, By the Railside on Instagram. We're gonna try and post some more stuff on like TikTok and all that garbage. Follow us here. We'll probably jump on and live stream the next podcast recording. So join us on Friday. Won't do it on the Saturday because hopefully Saturday we'll go see the Eternals, and then maybe we'll do a little snippet on that. But yeah, other than that, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Fill out a boyfriend application and submit it to us to be a possible guest, maybe reoccurring on the podcast.
Yes, absolutely.